Hi friends, today we're going to read this book. It's called A House for Hermit Crab. And we're going to use my pocket chart because I have lots of pictures of things in this book. I might have to turn it a little this way. There we go. Here's the hermit crab. "Time to move," said Hermit Crab one day in January. "I've grown too big for this shell." He had felt safe and snug in the shell, but now it was time to move. He stepped out of the shell onto the ocean floor, but it was frightening out in the open sea without a shell to hide in. What if a big fish comes, he thought. What will I do? I must find a new house soon. See, he came out of his shell. He was walking on the bottom of the ocean. Early in February, he found just the house he was looking for. It was a big shell and strong. So I'm going to put that up there. Shell. He moved in, wiggling and waggling inside to see how it felt. And guess what? It felt just right. But it looks so kind of plain, he thought. Kind of plain, isn't it? Yeah, he wanted some decorations for his shell. In March, Crab met some sea anemones. They look like flowers, but they're really a kind of seaweed, and they live in the ocean. I'm going to put the sea anemone up. Can you see it? There. Now let's see what he asked the sea anemones. They swayed gently back and forth in the water. "How beautiful you are," said the crab. "Would you be willing to come and live on my house? It is so plain. It needs you." "I'll come," whispered a small sea anemone. Carefully, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and put it on his shell. One little sea anemone said yes. And can you see it? There it is, right on top of his shell. In April, Hermit Crab passed a flock of starfish moving slowly along the seafloor. "How handsome you are," he said. "Would you be willing to come and decorate my house?" "I would," said one very small little starfish. Carefully, Hermit Crab picked it up with his strong claw and put it on his house. So now he's going to have a sea anemone and a starfish. Let's see what that looks like. Ooh, do you see the starfish? It's right there. Beautiful. In May, Hermit Crab discovered some coral. They were hard and they didn't move. "How pretty you are," said Hermit Crab. "Would one of you be willing to make my house more beautiful?" "I would," creaked a crusty coral. A coral's a little bit like a shell, except it's not flat like a shell, it's pokey. And it came in, it's very pretty, and sometimes it's a light orange color. Gingerly, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it on his shell. Would you like to see what it looks like? Oh my goodness. Now he has the sea anemone, the starfish, and a coral on his shell. I love that. In June, Hermit Crab came to a group of snails crawling over a rock on the ocean floor. They grazed as they went, picking up algae and bits of debris, and leaving a neat path behind them. "How tidy and hard-working you are," said Hermit Crab. "Would you be willing to come and help clean my house?" "I would," said one of the snails. Here's the snail. He's helping, isn't he? I think I'm going to make a new row so we can see these better. So there's the snail, and they're right by the hermit crab. Let's see if we can see the snail. Oh, there's the snail. So here's the sea anemone, here's the starfish, here's the coral, and here's the snail. In July, hermit crab came upon some sea urchins. They had sharp, prickly needles. Ooh, how fierce you look, said hermit crab. Would one of you be willing to protect my house? I would, said a spiky sea urchin. Gratefully, hermit crab picked it up with his claw and placed it on his shell. Yeah, I don't think I would want to touch one of those spiky sea urchins. Oh my goodness, now let's look. So we see the hermit crab, here's the sea anemone, here's the coral, here's the starfish, here's the snail, and here's the sea urchin protecting his shell. In August, hermit crab and his friends wandered into a forest of seaweed. It's so dark in here, thought hermit crab. How dim it is, murmured the sea anemone. How gloomy it is, whispered the starfish. How murky it is, complained the coral. I can't see, said the snail. It's like nighttime, said the sea urchin. What do they need? It's dark. What do you need when it's dark? In September, hermit crab spotted a school of lanternfish. Look at the lanternfish. They have little lights on them, and here's our lanternfish. Oh my goodness. How bright you are, said hermit crab. Would one of you be willing to light up my house? I would, replied one lanternfish. Oops, upside down. And it swam over near the shell, and then they could see better, couldn't they? Because it had light. Wow. In October, hermit crab approached a pile of smooth pebbles. Pebbles are rocks. How sturdy you are, said hermit crab. Would you mind if I rearranged you? Not at all, said the pebbles. Hermit crab picked them up one by one with his claw and built a wall around his house. Now my house is perfect, thought hermit crab. But in November, hermit crab felt that his shell seemed a little too small. Little by little over the year, hermit crab had grown. Soon he would have to find a bigger house. But he had come to love his friends, the sea anemone, the starfish, the coral, the sea urchin, the snail, the lanternfish, and even the smooth pebbles. You have been so good to me, thought hermit crab. They are like a family. How can I ever leave them? All of these things were his friends now, weren't they? Oh my goodness. In December, a smaller hermit crab passed by. I have outgrown my shell, she said. Would you know of a place for me? Oh, I have outgrown my shell too, answered hermit crab. I must move on. You are welcome to live here, but you must promise to be good to my friends. So here's the new hermit crab who needs a bigger shell. She had a little one. And this hermit crab is getting too big for this shell. So he's sharing. That's really nice. The following January, hermit crab stepped out and the little crab moved in. Couldn't stay in that little shell forever, said Hermit Crab as he waved goodbye. The ocean floor looked wider than he remembered, but Hermit Crab wasn't afraid. Soon he spied the perfect house, a big empty shell. And it looked, well, a little plain. But sponges, he thought. Barnacles, clownfish, sand dollars, electric eels. Oh, there are so many possibilities. I can't wait to get started. He was going to make some new friends to decorate his new shell. That was a good book, and I like how the hermit crab shared his shell when he grew too big for it. That was a great idea. Well, friends, I hope you have a great day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.